Let's begin. We'll give ourselves a moment to breathe into and explore the freedom all around and within the heart. We'll work our pranayama today in Baddha Konasana. So we'll place the soles of feet together. And then alternate breathing with no count. With no count because you may want to omit the holds entirely and just go in one nostril, out the other. And of course, there is a hold which we would insert between the inhale. The hold would go there before exhaling out the other nostril. So to no count for the function of comfort and interest. Okay. So select one hand. I'm going with the right one right now. Close the thumb side nostril off. Inhale through the open nostril. And continue at your own pace. We'll go just back and forth for a little bit. And when you finish this round, we're still in our Baddha Konasana. And we'll take a fold forward. Just resuming your Ujjayi breath. And release by inhaling, coming up right. And we'll be setting up a seated spinal twist. So if you were on any surfaces, we'll take those away. So we're on firm ground. And this is my left leg on the ground. And this is the sole of my right foot planted down next to thigh or shin. So again, this is my right knee pointing toward the sky. We'll be twisting to our right. So inhale, the right hand down, the left arm up. Get a good footing, that right foot. Get good footing. Exhale. Keep pressing through that right foot as we come into the twist. Be left elbow over right thigh. And then feel the alignment of the spacious body. Can you feel the center of the head space? In some relationship over the center of the heart space, center of the pelvic space. So this shoulder can remain right here. Or option 2 is you can reach down for the interlock. The interlock might begin by grabbing some clothing, or tucking that left arm behind the right leg. And once again, can you feel that head space aligning over the heart space, over the pelvic space? And for our purposes, we can keep the chin over the sternum. And release. Inhaling, unwind. And we'll switch sides. So the right leg's on the ground. The sole of the left foot's on the ground. Inhale, placing the left hand down. Use the right arm reaching up to lift the ribs. So those organs can have a lot of space as we exhale, turning to our left. And then part 2, if you're wanting to go for interlock, right hand can reach for that hip or can start to snake under or behind the thigh. And release. Inhaling, unwind. Let's put this spine on the ground and move our organs lying. So we'll work some elbow to knee. And I'm going to suggest when we take the feet off the ground is to set the head down and to raise the arms overhead. The attempt is towards straightening the arms. And of course, we're not needing to congest the neck area. You may have to do a little fixing around. But I've got my arms overhead, the head on the ground for the duration of these elbow to knee moves. So inhale into the low belly and the low back, arms stretching up. And up would be on the ground, but over our head. And now exhale, reach only the left leg out, keeping that low back contacting the ground, stretching the arms up overhead, draw the low belly down. Inhale, bend that left knee. And then exhale, straighten, reach out through the right leg, the inner right leg. And draw the low belly down. Inhale, bring that right knee back over the hips, but continue. Exhaling, reach out through the left leg, keep stretching the arms overhead, stretching through that inner left leg, draw the low belly down. Inhale, left knee over pelvis. And then exhale, right leg out reaches. Stretch the arms overhead because I'm imagining that the arm, the tone of the arms, will want to soften and the elbows bend. Draw the low belly down. And then inhaling, bringing that right knee back over the pelvis. Let's do 3 more on each side. So I just want you to get that feel of what we'll be doing when we go upside down in our handstand. So it starts to give us a feeling of handstand, the arm position, the spine, and the way the abdominals can pressurize and emphasize the feeling of the backside. And keeping those knees directly over the pelvis. If I start to tuck them more closely in, I lose the necessity of the abdominals. Great. So that'll be a good amount. Do one more like so. So if you've got a roll or a block, grab it, place it between legs, and we'll reach the legs up overhead. Or I shouldn't say overhead, over hips. Okay, and this one too will leave our head down on the ground. Inhale. Place the hands on the prop, which is right between your legs. Squeeze the prop. Squeeze it strongly. And now exhale, push with your hands against the prop as you stretch the legs toward the sky. Draw the low belly down. Inhaling, release the hand pressure, some of the leg effort. And a pause, squeeze the object with the legs. And start to push the prop with the hands. Exhale, squeezing, pushing, and then legs reaching toward the sky. Draw the low belly down. Inhaling, letting up those pressures, the palm pressure, the leg pressure. Hold the breath, squeeze the object. Now it has to be a significant squeeze so that when we push the prop doesn't go flying. Exhale, pushing the prop, reach the legs toward the sky. Maybe straightening. Draw the low belly down. And then inhaling, letting up a little bit. We're going to add one move. Be prepared. Squeeze the object with the legs. Exhaling, pushing with the hands. Stretching the legs toward the sky. Now start to fold the legs about an inch closer to your torso. So you may feel that work through the hip flexors. And then inhaling, letting up those pressures. Hold the breath, squeeze the object, press the object, exhale the legs towards straightening, and as you're straightening, reaching the legs up, draw them about an inch closer to your face, your torso. So it's the very beginning of piking. Pull the low belly down. We'll do one more, inhale. Holding, squeeze the object, push with the hands, exhale, straighten through the legs, and fold the legs about 1 inch. So the shins are about 1 inch over the, I shouldn't say 1 inch, just a little bit closer to your face than vertical. And then release, inhaling, set that down. Hopefully that was a winner in the hips. And we'll turn over getting set up for dolphin. So just that little bit of, what do we call, giving a little resistance to those hip flexors. So let's set up the dolphin, elbows under shoulders, knees under hips. And exhaling, press the knees off the ground, softening through the neck, under the brain. Now, in that similar action you were doing on the ground with the prop, there is a degree of piking the hips that can be actuated through the hip flexors, the inner leg. I think it's a really good thing to work the hip flexors. I think when we get into things like a yoga modality, there's maybe a tendency to overemphasize stretching them. I think it's good to work them. So you can use those hip flexors to kind of increase the crease right at the hip area, and then feel how the hips lift and the spine elongates. Raise the right foot away from the ground. There you go. And you can continue that action of increasing the crease through the left hip as you're expanding the crease of the hip on the right hip. And so can you feel that front of right hip expanding, smoothing, the tissues getting drawn expansively from the hip crease. So you may have to pick that leg up a little bit and feel the top of the thigh and the front of the pelvis and the abdomen, kind of stretching through that abdomen, pelvis, thigh area. We'll switch sides, setting the right foot down. And then here goes the left side. So we'll bring that left leg up. And we'll set that left foot down. And we'll set the knees down. All right. So we've been visiting an Ashtanga move the last few, so we'll do it again today. Let's stand. So if you've done it a few times, now you get some points of comparison. And it's a standing move, no hands necessary. And we're taking one leg at a time. This happens to be my right. And pressing it out about like so, maybe higher. Okay. So inhale, draw that right knee up. Exhaling, press and send that right leg out. Now, as we're holding this, the leg start to just gradually descend. You might be holding it out at a So it could be a lot of variability, but that ground leg straightens. Something that's really kind of cool about this simple move is that weight shift. There's a really cool weight shift back into the body. That's plenty. We'll set that right leg down and we'll do the other side. So I usually go hands on hips. And inhale, we'll draw that left knee up hip height. Exhale, pressing that left leg out. There we go. Yeah, the quad may get a little bunched feeling. It's so incredible, though, to go into these muscles where there can be a lot of charge, a lot of inactivated or stored charge. Good. Release. We'll set that left foot down. And let's stand top of mat. We'll do some suns, some wall work, some more suns. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step the left foot back, lunge. Place hands down, exhaling, step the right foot back. Lower plank to ground. You sure could use your knees if you needed to. Cobra, stretch the legs back. So active legs, and then the buttock muscles with regard to the tailbone. Let those buttock muscles engage. Inhale, abdomen lengthens away from the lap, the ribs away from the abdomen. Exhaling, lower, reset the hands under the chest, downward dog. Inhale the left foot forward, lunge. Hands to ground, exhaling, step the right foot forward, fold. Inhale, stand, drawing the arms up. Exhaling, hands to heart. Okay. Add a little variation here. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale the right foot back and set the knee more so under the pelvis for twisting lunge. Exhaling, touching the right elbow to the left thigh. And that right hand, make a fist. That left hand, palm can push that. On exhale, we slide that right armpit down a little bit more. And so that in and of itself can be the most useful way to deepen the twist. If you want to interlock, you sure could. And release. Inhaling, unwind. We'll set the hands down. Exhaling, chaturanga. Step left foot back, lowering belly to earth. Set the hands forward for cobra first. Feel the legs engage and stretch back. There's some activity to the legs. Inhaling, draw the abdomen away from those active legs. So we're lengthening the back. And then as you keep coming up, so the chest does come up, the elbows do come up, the heart and the lungs can keep stretching away from the abdomen. Exhaling, lower down, downward dog. And here we'll pause, downward dog, opening up the hands so they have maximal contact with the ground. Spreading the foot bones so that whatever of the foot contacts the ground can be spread out instead of bunched up. And we'll play here with increasing the crease, the front crease of the hip. As you increase it, Kind of working those hip flexors will help to pick the sit bones up into the sky, lengthening the trunk. So it's leg work in service of spine space. Inhale, step the right foot forward for twisting lunge. So we set the left knee down, and this lunge, my hips are a bit more over the knee. Exhale, the left elbow touch the right thigh. Okay. So you can obviously remain right here. This may be all the twist you desire. Or we can move that armpit more closely to the thigh for twisting lunge interlock. And one of our interlock options is to grab the clothing. It's important if we're going more deeply into these, where the chest and the thigh are getting closer, that we only work the pose where we're not smashing our tissues. So if you have any scar tissue or breast tissue or tender spots, sore spots, that we're not just mashing those. Okay. So we want to make room for things. Sometimes a very slight twist is extraordinary healing. Okay, inhale, unwind, set the hands down. Exhaling, we'll step the right foot back and we'll lower. Activate those legs, meaning use the muscles. Feel the legs moving back. Inhale, cobra hands, helping to lift the chest, pulling mid-back away from mid-back. Exhaling, lower, reset hands, downward dog. All right, inhale, step or walk your way up to a standing spot. And here we'll do a little transition toward the wall. Two options for being on the hands. If you're not kicking up, we'll be working downward dog on the wall, reaching one leg away from the wall. If you are kicking up in a handstand and you have adequate room left and right of you, you have nice wingspan room on the wall, we'll work on straddle and piking down. I'll show both. Okay. So if we're going downward dog on the wall, we'll take our downward dog with our heels right on or next to the baseboard. We step foot hip height, step the other foot hip height. Okay, and then if you are reaching one leg away from the wall, it is expanding the crease of the hip. Okay. So if you're on that path, go right for it. And I'll just continue to show through the next one, which is a piking down move. So from handstand straddle, And the fingertips are only an inch or less from the wall, maybe an inch and a half or less. As I straddle the legs, we're reaching the tailbone up the wall. And just controlling and slowing the lower from straddle down to ground. And that's one of those I might practice a few times, not to exhaustion, but a few times. There you go. The piking can be a very strong move for the hand muscles and the wrists, which means, bring those hand muscles to the game. The hand muscles, the fingertips, they're actively steering and helping keep us in handstand. So the hand muscles, they're not flaccid or passive. Like, those hand muscles are spread and active. There you go. Cool. Yeah. And then just for show and tell, you don't have to do this with me, but just for illustration purposes, because it might be helpful to others doing this downward dog on the wall. This wall foot, whichever one is remaining, I'm just going to take one away. And there's a lot of potential for movement. This ball socket joint can be giving me the all overs, and that foot contact can speak right to that. It's like that sit bone area. So that foot contact's really, really cool piece to work with in that form of inversion. Well, great. So here we are away from the wall, and we're back, say, at the top of our mat for suns. Resuming Ujjayi breath. Chair pose, inhale, bend knees, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold, straightening legs, softening face, softening through the back of the neck. Monkey, using the hands, again, inhale, lift chest away from lap. Exhale, step or lightly jump the feet back, chaturanga. Just going to step back today. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, step right foot forward as we set up a warrior one stance, or we're setting up ostrich. So the ostrich, if we interlace the hands, we can get some nice relief for the wrists. So I'm using this twofold. One is some wrist relief. So just the interlace and a nice drawing apart action. Okay. And even if my shoulders or my elbows are a little stiff and I'm just getting the benefits of the hands and the hand joints opening, I'm fine with that. And then, of course, some of you will keep stretching or pressing those knuckles back, and you'll start to feel more chest opening or stretch. Option one is staying upright, exhaling, ostrich, hinging the torso inside the thigh. And inhale, bring the hands down to the waist, release. And we'll set the hands down on the ground. I'll be sitting down into a, let me think of the position here. I've set my left knee down and I'm setting my butt down. So this may be one of those places where we get some cushion or padding under the sit bones. So this is my left heel beside my left hip. Turn one more time for another view. It's this kind of, okay. And if only one sit bone is on the ground, that's where I would put in some elevation, or if my knee felt too compressed here. So if you have like a bucket tear or anything torn in the knee, it's nice to give the knee some space. So option one is leave the right hand down as we pick the right foot up. Okay. Option two is use both hands to elevate the right foot. Just one more iteration of fold. Now, just for the fun of it, because I like hip flexors today, I'm in appreciation of hip flexors. I'm going to actively pull my own thigh toward my chest. So I'm going to be quite active through that hip crease. And you may find that that activity of pulling my own leg, so leg pulling leg toward torso, helps lengthen us through the low back, through the abdomen. And let me just show you one other way to play this. Is sometimes I'll do this facing a wall. So I'm about, I don't know, 1.5 feet, 2 feet from the wall. And I might just put that foot up the wall a little bit. I might get a little bit closer and then use my hands on the ground. Okay. So again. And release. Inhale, we'll set that right foot down. Okay, we're going to do a little Marichasana version. So now I have my right heel next to my right sit bone. Let me turn one more time for view. So my left leg is in this half Virasana, and my right knee is quite deeply bent, knee to sky. And exhaling, I'll reach the right arm forward and circle the right shin. And connect the hands, which I could do with a strap or with my fingertips. Now in this pose, if you've not considered actively pulling the leg to the ribs, that might be kind of fun. And I find that hip flexor work can be really a nice, sweet addendum to any other back work that you're working with. This seems to ring through the sacrum, the low back. So it might actually be helpful to your low back concerns. Good, release. Now inhale, we'll set the hands at the front of our mat, about shoulder width. Exhale, downward dog. All right, so there's an ostrich. Inhale, left foot forward. And I'm using the interlace just to opening up the hand, the finger joints, the wrist joints. So I might just do interlace and that light drawing apart action, just that. In that way, there's not a lot of in the shoulders. As I straighten my arms, there's more and more stretch registering in the front of the chest. Tailing, fold forward, ostrich. And inhale, bring hands down to sacrum, release. Set the hands down, set the right knee down. As we prepare to sit back, with the right heel beside the right hip. So again, if you need elevation under your hips, please get it. 2 ways of grabbing this left foot, 3 ways actually. I can place my left hand on the ground and pick my foot up with my right hand. I can grab my left foot with both hands, or I could use a wall. And keep feeling how you can use this leg to lift, to lengthen the chest. Super valuable move. Because as we inhale, the left foot down, the left arm forward, that chest still reaching, lengthening forward. Exhale, wrap that left arm around the left shin. The 2 halves of our back may fold very differently from one another. And these kinds of poses might be showcasing that. And then similarly, our 2 halves of back may extend or bend backward very differently from one another. These are really great to notice. I think they tell us a lot about each of our hips. each of our knees, each of our feet. And then release. Inhale, bring the hands under the shoulders for downward dog. Exhaling, pressing back. And you may have to exit out of that virasana delicately. That ankle, let that blood come into that ankle in a nice way. Okay. Now just a move I'm going to do for myself is pushing through the forefoot, raising the heels, and just getting the calves really activated. Sometimes my foot joints, they move in those really deep, those virasana places. And I want everything to kind of be talking to my knee in a nice way. And then releasing, we'll set the knees down, we'll have a seat. And we'll lie back for Shavasana. When you're lying back, please feel free to set up where your spine is on the ground and your legs are vertical or vertically resting against a wall. It's an interesting and really a lovely degree of compression for the knee and the hip socket. Being able to relax around the knee structure so that the bones kind of discover their friend bones, their neighboring bones. There's an interesting phenomena I notice when I get to have my hands on bodies. And that's this spontaneous breathing recognition of the body when it discovers the body. So I'll just use that example of legs up wall and feeling the shin bones relaxing toward the thigh bone. Sometimes holding areas of the body in relationship. Just holding them in a way where they can gradually start to recognize that they're near each other, they're related to each other. Seems to promote this spontaneous, respiring recognition between the two areas. So they go from, it's almost like, and these are all analogies and rough sketches, it's almost like there are these different parts. They may or may not have been aware of each other. And just by holding them, feeling them be in proximity, feeling them be next to each other, feeling them be related proximally, can sometimes promote that breathingness between the two. And as healers yourselves, because we're all healers, we're all creative, we're all artists, we're all healers. We all engage healing processes. That might be a really wonderful way to play with your body. Sometimes when we injure areas, the area injured or affected can feel a little bit isolated, almost walled off. And to be able to hold that area with another area of the body breathing, its neighboring area breathing together. Can sometimes promote that spontaneous recognition of, oh, I'm the body, I'm body, I'm your body, I'm body. When you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side and press to seated. As I'm saying that, I'm reminded that this gesture of namaste is really precisely that. I'm spirited. You're spirited. Our spiritedness recognizes our spiritedness. Namaste. Great to see you.